Welcome to the JP8 report. This is James Pierce with the JP8 report for Monday, June 16th. I don't know why I did it like that, but I made it. Tell you what, you ever heard the phrase save early, save often? Same thing goes with Rumble. Refresh often because I hit start stream. I went over to hit start stream on my Rumble studio, and all of a sudden, stream not active. I'm like, what? And I was like, wait a minute. I went over and refreshed my browser, and I had to go back into the template, and there was, I clicked start stream. Here I am. All right. Thank you all very much. I got someone commenting on YouTube. A very brave soul. My buddy Richard. Hey, man. Glad to see you, man. Join us over here in Rumble if you can, okay? Rob's over here, too. We got people already starting to do the chat with us. Great stuff going on. Wanted to show everybody this came in Friday after. Matter of fact, this came in during the podcast on Friday. I was hoping we got here before 12 o'clock, but it didn't. You got here at 12:15. It's Dan Bongino's newest shirt. He was advertising last week. I bought it on Monday and got it on Friday afternoon. This is cool. All America, all the time. I love it. If you want it, just go to his store on Bongino.com, I think it is. Yeah, Bongino.com. Buy the thing, man, because I want to buy me another one. Don't tell my wife, please. All right. So, yeah. And then what else happened this weekend? My wife and I watched TV shows on Saturday. First, we had dinner with Rob and his wife, my buddy retired Rob, and they came over our house. We had a really nice dinner with them and shot the bull for a little bit. And then Saturday afternoon, my wife and I decided to watch The Madison on Paramount Plus. My goodness, I tell you, if you're looking for a good drama to watch, it's not an action movie. There's no ambushes. There's no gunfights. No explosions. I mean, it's a good movie and it's a sad movie. And they showed three episodes on Saturday. So if you go to Paramount, you can watch all 3 episodes at the same time. This Saturday is the final 3 episodes in season 1 because they did the 6 episode and they've already filmed season 2. So first 3 are this last Saturday. The next 3 is this coming Saturday, and I don't know when season 2 comes out, but it is worth watching. And then we watch another sad movie. We watch Not Without Hope, and then that was, I think that was on HBO. I can't remember, but that was about the 4 former football, 2 NFL football players and 2 former football players that 3 of them died at sea in the Gulf of America several years ago. And that was a really good one too. But yeah, so that's what my wife and I did this weekend. We just binged. We actually watched a good series. We were waiting for that to come out, and it was worth the wait. All right, so let's get on here to the news of the day. As we are watching me talk my lungs out. Don't forget to click the follow button and follow the JP8 report. And then hit that like button to give us a like. And then, like I was saying, chat with us on the chat. I'll either respond, or Rob will respond, or Richard will respond. Richard on Rumble is Covite for life. So if you see that, his name is Richard. Really, both these guys are dynamite people. But yeah, interject with this. Remember, don't be embarrassed on the chat. Okay? See, Covite, Richard made it. Good job. So if you comment on the chat, just remember it's a temporary file. So at when we sign off, the chat goes away. So you don't have to worry about it. It'll never go anywhere else. All right. So that's cool too. And then, yeah, so follow, like, and chat. Follow, like, and chat. Follow, like, and chat. Okay. So like in the Army, you stop 3 times, it means it's important. I said it 3 times. All right. So America 250. I read part 1 of a letter from Lieutenant Colonel Reed talking about the withdrawal of the British from and the assignment of generals and stuff around from the Continental Army. I'm going to continue on. I got it's barely a page, so don't freak out on me, okay? And if you got the Rumble Premium, I have I'm going to show you all some really cool newspapers and stuff we found in my garage Saturday morning before we started watching the Madison. All right, so I'm gonna read this. All right, so now for our own news. The packet arrived last week in New York, and in her came passenger Mr. Robert Temple, owner of the late Beautiful Farm. Below our lines, he came to town last night. The report is that in the papers under his buttons, he brought a letter from Arthur Lee advising that the commissioners were coming out and instructed to settle the dispute to get from us as much as they can. But if peace cannot be had on our own terms, to make it on our own. I mentioned it to you as a report. For me, it seems to be so inconsistent with all that we have seen and heard that I do not believe a word of it. I shall get more certain intelligence soon as the business, and it shall make a part of my next letter. We every moment expect to hear of the gentry's arrival. They are, if possible, to retreat with assemblies, but if they cannot be attained then with Congress. The grammar is so rough in these guys. A little time will show that we are to expect from this new project. For my part, I can see nothing to be hoped from it, but it has laid fast a hold of somewhere and made an impression on the Congress. It is said the Virginians are so alarmed with the ideal of independence that they have sent Mr. Braxton on purpose to turn the vote of that colony. If any question on that subject should come up before Congress, to tell you the truth, my dear sir, I am infinitely more afraid of these commissioners than their generals and armies. If their propositions are plausible and behavior artful, I am apprehensive that they will divide us. So there is so much suspicion in Congress and so much party on this subject that very little more fuel is required to kindle the flame. It is high time for the colonies to begin a gradual change of delegates. Private pick, prejudice, and suspicion will make its way into the breasts of even good men sitting along in such a council as ours, and whenever that is the case, their deliberations will be distributed and public interest, of course, suffer. We have made a great change in the councils of this province, and I hope a favorable one for the common cause, having introduced 17 new members at once in the House of the Assembly. The increase of representation in those parts of the province where the spirit of liberty most prevails and of consequence or measures will take part of it. We have had a vessel load of linens on account of Congress arrived within a few days past, but I do not hear a word of tents. With what our army is expected to do without them, I cannot conceive. Lord Stirling has stopped some of our troops bound to Canada, as it is not possible to keep the Connecticut people beyond their own time. General Lee, with great difficulty, induced some of them to prolong their stay 2 weeks, which I believe was more than could be done with you. Mr. Dean of Connecticut has gone to Europe. His errand will be guessed, though little is said about it. The French vessels begin to find their way to our ports, 2 or 3 having come in this spring, but their cargoes are chiefly West India goods, a little, very little powder, merely with a cover. Since writing the above, I have conversed with some gentlemen who have been Mr. Temple. I find only he brings 2 letters wrote by Dr. Lee to himself, and that his information of the powers of the commissioners is not built on any certain authority, but rather his own conjectures. He says the ministry has resolved on peace if it had, and they are willing to treat the Congress with Congress, but the king would not hear of it. The difficulty of recruiting is very great in England, Scotland, and Ireland. Scarce a man had on any terms. I send you the morning paper containing the current news. My respectful compliments with Mrs. Reed's to Mrs. Washington and dear Doctor, sir, most sincerely and affectionate yours, Lieutenant Colonel Reed. Yeah, I said my respectful complaints because they misspelled compliments. Okay, so from Colonel Reed to President Washington. All right, a couple of headlines before we really get going is y'all heard me the other day talking about the magazines and stuff and said the gun control stuff that they're passing in the People's Democratic People's Republic of Virginia. They're limiting the weapons you can buy, where you can store them, and what kind of magazines you can own, right? Even though just north in the District of Columbia, the D.C. Court of Appeals said inside of it that there's you cannot restrict Americans from owning magazines that can only hold 10 rounds. They had the freedom to be able to possess more, like 15-round mag, 30-round mag. A lot of us are familiar with in the Army, right? Well, so lo and behold, the Politburo ruled in on a change on that on Friday. I'm being sarcastic about Virginia because this is irritating. Every time they bring up something, I'm a Texan. I look at Virginia as like the birthplace of our democracy because that's where George Washington is from, right? But they did this on Friday, and the Secretary General, Abigail Spanberger herself, is going to sign it. But check it out. This came from Eric Daugherty in the on X. Blank. Okay. Virginia Democrats just voted to exempt themselves from caring from their upcoming tyrannical gun control laws. Second Amendment only gets violated for citizens. Believe it or not, right? Here it is. It's in quotes. The provisions of this section shall not apply to any member of the General Assembly who leaves a handgun in an unattended motor vehicle pursuant to Section 18.2-308-7:1 when such vehicle is parked in any parking structure reserved for members of the General Assembly under Section blah 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 blah. And he said, "This is insane. Elections has consequences, Virginia." Yeah, they're granting themselves exemptions from the laws that they passed. Not only is you can't, I guess, in Virginia, after she signs this, the Crown Doctrine is gone, or the Castle Doctrine is gone, because ordinary citizens can't store weapons in their vehicle. Most people don't, but some people do. And as long as you lock the door, it's secure. They granted them the exceptions if they're parked in for the General Assembly, which is the same, right? Why do they Why do they insist? And our Congress is the same thing. Why do they insist of treating us like serfs, peasants? We're not. We're citizens. They're citizens of Virginia. I'm a citizen of Texas. I'm an American. We hold our legislature to standards. Sometimes they measure up to it. Lots of times they don't. But we insist, and when we don't, we vote them out. These cats over in Virginia, they pull the wool over a lot of eyes over there, and they're just steadily destroying the country. I tell you what, in 3.5 years, when they have their next election for Virginia, I can guarantee you there won't be a Virginian in that lot that gets reelected or since they don't have, you can't run for more than one term for governor. There won't be a Democrat governor in Virginia, and there sure won't be a whole lot of Democrats get reelected in their assembly. This is actually stupid. If you agree with what I'm saying, I know Rob lived many years in Virginia. He should have some kind of say so on this. This is unbelievable what's going on. The next is we'll go to some good news. Well, kind of good news. The president weighed in on a bunch of people going off on Mark Levin, the great one. I listen to him on TV a lot. He's a constitutional lawyer. He's conservative, and he knows what he's talking about. All right. So let me go to my extra 2. And I'm going to transition over. I always love reading Truth Socials. Okay. Mark Levin, a truly great American patriot, is somewhat under siege by other people with far less intellect, capability, and love of our country. Mark is tough, strong, and brilliant. Hence the nickname, the Great One, conceived by our MAGA friend, the wonderful Sean Hannity. After years of dealing with Mark in legal, media, and other capacities, Mark would often do Sean's show speaking as a lawyer, and Sean realized then, as others did, that he was special. Mark Levin was not looking to do television, radio, or anything else, but he was drafted by some very smart people who understood that there are few like him. He is a true conservative and intellect, far smarter than those who criticize him. But above all, he is a man of great wisdom and common sense who truly loves our country. When you hear others unfairly attack Mark, remember they are jealous and angry human beings whose sway is much less than the public understands and will, now that they know where I stand, rapidly diminish. Others stand for his wonderful wife and family. Mark Levin only cares and wants one thing: greatness and success for America. Those that want one thing, those that speak ill of Mark will quickly fall by the wayside, as do the people whose ideas, policies, and footings are not sound. They are not MAGA. I am. And MAGA includes not only Iran, a sick, demented, and violent terrorist regime to have nuclear weapons to blow up the United States of America, the Middle East, and ultimately the rest of the world. MAGA is about stopping them cold. And that is exactly what we're doing. God bless our great military, which I have rebuilt since the beginning of my first term to achieve everlasting peace through strength. Make America great again. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. All right. Thank y'all for letting me read that to y'all. That was something else. Evidently, Mark Levin is under threat by a bunch of, I think it was Megyn Kelly was one of them was going off on him because he's Jewish and he's smart. He's a legitimate lawyer that knows what he's actually talking about and believes in the Constitution of the United States. I've always liked Mark Levin. He's on it. You cannot do no wrong around him because he'll call you out on it, right? So kudos to the president for making that statement, coming to the defense of Mark Levin. I appreciate that. In the chat, people, he writes, "This is Rob. The left in Virginia sucks. I fully concur. I'm sorry for anyone that lives in the People's Republic, Democratic People's Republic of Virginia, flat out." All right, so let's see. And then the other breaking news, sad news to a point. Susie Wiles, she's the chief of staff for President Trump, was diagnosed this morning with early stage breast cancer. The president said they caught it very, very early, and that the prognosis is excellent, and that Miss Wiles will be working full time during her recovery, and that and she'll be allowed to work virtually also. So prayers out to Susie Wiles that she'll have a speedy recovery. I saw her on TV just a few minutes ago with the president. She was on the left side of the president at a big news conference that was going on. So her spirits are high, right? But cancer is a serious thing. I have a really good friend here in Texas. She went so far in her treatments that she went and took the rest of her hair off this weekend, and because it's all going to fall out. And that she lost a good friend of hers the other day to a tragic shooting. So keep Cassie Daniel in your prayers also. All right. Okay. So we did that and that. Okay. So Dalmatian, no updates on Dalmatian except for the owners in recovery. Like I said this morning, I'm losing weight because I'm not eating no Dalmatian burgers. So Iran update. So with the Iran update this morning, let's see, Operation Epic Fury. We'll get the bad stuff out of the way first. Everybody hates the price of oil. Let me refresh. Oil is down to $93.61. Wow. Great. Cross that out. 93.61. So 93.54. Wow. Okay. It drops as I speak. I might just speak about oil the rest of the time. So it's down 93.37. Wow, I might as well just do this all day long. Hey, Rob, you want me to keep talking about the price of oil because it keeps dropping on me? Man. Okay, so it's down $3.33 a barrel since this weekend because oil never stops trading. All right. And then the Dow Jones right now is up 399 points. So I might as well say it's up 400 points. All right. That's pretty cool. All right. So meanwhile, back at the ranch with the Iran update, let's see, all targets, there was 90 of them, all targets on Kark Island were hit this weekend, all 90 of them, obliterated. And the president said, if we got to go back, we'll do it. All right. Oh, yeah. So before we go any further, if you were wondering what the area of operations or the area of responsibility, that's the area right there for around Iran. Okay. Kark Island is about right here, right where the mouse is, if you can see it. Okay. Back. All right. So the State Department's got a $10 million reward out for the new spiritual leader because we don't know if he's alive or dead. And any of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, any of its leaders, they're still looking at trying to get a hold of these guys. Trump said all air defense assets in Iran have been destroyed. France is urging Iran to surrender. Iran arrests dozens of people in Tehran for spying for Israel. The UK and US are discussing opening the Strait of Hormuz, because Iran says the strait is closed to anyone that's not Israel, Iran, and our allies. Okay, a non-starter, right? The United Arab Emirates said they took down 4 ballistic missiles and 6 drones on Sunday. This morning, the airport of Dubai was hit by a drone. And then, believe it or not, it's against the law in the United Arab Emirates to take pictures of terrorist exploded buildings and stuff like that, right? Well, um, so a bunch of people took pictures of the damage from the drone this morning, put it on the internet, and UAE went in and arrested them all. They said dozens of people were arrested for taking pictures of the terrorist act. All right, and it is a terrorist act. All right, so and then the Israeli Defense Forces hit 200 targets in Iraq. I mean, as you were in Iran on Sunday, and then also Israel is prepping for a massive Lebanon operation. They already got soldiers inside of southern Lebanon, and they've called up 450,000 reservists for a major operation. I guess this is to finally liquidate Hezbollah. Now, and while you're talking, down here, I'm going to knock it out of the way. The terrorist that was in Michigan last week and drove his truck into a synagogue for retaliation for his niece and nephew being killed in an Israeli airstrike. Well, it turns out that the terrorist's brother was a Hezbollah commander. So put 2 and 2 together, you know what happened, right? All right, so that is the Iran update in 27 minutes already. Oh my goodness, man. All right, so continuing with this also is the Department of War finally announced the names of all the airmen that were killed this last week in the KC-135. What it was is me and Rob had this discussion on Friday about is the KC-135 and it's either a KC-135 or a KC-10. Both of them are fuelers, and they're saying that 2 KC-135s, because they said this yesterday, 2 KC-135s had some type of midair incident. One went down in western Iraq, and the other landed in Israel. All right. So first, I'm going to read this about them. At first, I'm going to put their pictures up here, so while I'm reading, and then I'm going to just talk about them for a couple minutes, right? So there we go. The Pentagon has identified 6 U.S. service members who were killed when a KC-135 refueling aircraft crashed in western Iraq during a combat mission in support of Operation Epic Fury. The incident, which occurred Thursday, took place in friendly airspace during an unspecified event involving another aircraft. While the other plane landed safely, the KC-135 crashed. Military officials said the incident was not due to hostile or friendly fire and remains under investigation. The airmen were assigned to the 6th Air Refueling Wing at MacDill Air Force Base in Florida and the 121st Air Refueling Wing in Rickenbacker Air National Guard Base in Columbus, Ohio, according to U.S. government and state officials. Those killed were Major John Alex Kenner, 33, Captain Ariana Savino, 31, Tech Sergeant Ashley Pruitt, 34, Captain Seth Koval, 38, Captain Curtis Angst, 30, and Tech Sergeant Tyler Simmons, 28. And before we go any further, just a moment of silence for these 6 Air Force personnel. All right. Remember and pray for their families, please. All right. So, and I don't believe they've had the dignified transfer yet. I don't think they have. Okay. So, Major John Klenner, he leaves behind 3 small children, 7-month-old twins, and a 2-year-old son. His brother-in-law confirmed a graduate of Auburn, an 8-year U.S. Air Force veteran from Birmingham, Alabama. Kleiner recently moved with his family to a new home, according to his wife, Libby. Next is Captain Ariana Savino. She's 31 from Covington, Washington. Was also assigned to this 6th Air Refueling Wing at MacDill Air Force Base. Savino was among the crew members aboard the KC-135 aircraft. And you have Tech Sergeant Ashley Pruitt, 34, of Bardstown, Kentucky. She's the 3rd member of the MacDill-based crew that was killed in the crash. Pruitt served with the 6th Air Refueling Wing and was deployed as part of the mission when the aircraft went down. Then you have Captain Seth Koval, served as a KC-135 instructor pilot with the 166th Air Refueling Squadron at the 121st Air Refueling Wing in Columbus, Ohio. The Ohio National Guard said Koval was the aircraft commander with 19 years of service, while the Ohio National Guard listed his home as Stoutsville, Ohio. The U.S. government listed his hometown as Mooresville, Indiana. And then, let's see, next page. Then you have Captain Curtis Anks. He served as an A6135 pilot with the 166th Air Refueling Squadron at the 121st Air Refueling Wing in Columbus, Ohio. He is from Wilmington, Ohio. And then we have Tech Sergeant Tyler Simmons. He was 28 of Columbus, Ohio. He served as a KC-135 boom operator with the 166 Air Refueling Squadron. He is responsible for transferring fuel from the tanker to the receiver aircraft during missions. He's got the cool job. And then he joined the Air Force in 2017 and initially served in security forces before transitioning to aviation in 2022. He became a mobility force aviator in 2023 and reached the rank of Tech Sergeant in May 1st, 2023. And he's logged 779 total flight hours, including 230.4 combat hours. So keep your families in your prayers. A great sacrifice. I served many years in the Army, and I don't think I could do their jobs. But that one with Tech Sergeant Simmons would be a cool job to do. All right. Transferring fuel, man. You're the fuel pump operator, right? Full service gas station. But at 30,000 feet, flying 250 miles an hour, that's awesome. All right. So, where are we at? We've done that. Before I go any further, hold on just a second. Boom operator was enlisted. Yes, you are right, Rob. Okay, let me go here. And I was going to do an ad read, but it's not letting me do it. Let me refresh one more time. None more coming up. Okay, that's all right. All right, so next. On Friday afternoon, after the podcast was over, it's rollovers from Friday. Jurors delivered a mixed verdict on the federal trial of 9 people accused of carrying out a 2025 ambush attack on the ICE detention facility in North Texas. 9 defendants accused of being part of a North Texas ANTIFA cell were convicted by a federal jury in Fort Worth for their roles in the July 4th, 2025 attack on the Prairieland ICE detention facility, according to the Department of Justice. Jurors delivered the verdict around 2:30 p.m. at the federal courthouse in Fort Worth, Texas, my hometown, following roughly a day and a half of deliberations. The guilty verdict in today's case goes to show the FBI 24/7 commitment to identifying, locating, and dismantling Antifa members and their networks, Kash Patel told Fox News. I want to thank our Dallas field office and our great partners for delivering justice. If you attack federal law enforcement, this FBI will use every resource at our disposal to hunt you down. All right? All right. So before we go any further, I'm able to do this because I know there's people out there that don't have Rumble Premium. So I'm going to do this real quick and then we'll go to the news. All right. You probably noticed Rumble is growing fast and is not slowing down. They're building a real alternative to big tech that puts creators first and actually protects free speech. And now there's Rumble Premium. It's an easy way to upgrade your experience. With Premium, you get ad-free viewing across the platform, no pre-rolls, no interruptions, just the content you came for. Plus, Premium members unlock exclusive content like bonus videos, behind-the-scenes drops, and more from your favorite creators. Right now, Rumble is offering $10 off an annual subscription. Just go to rumble.com/premium and use the promo code STUDIO at checkout. That's rumble.com/premium, promo code STUDIO. No ads, more freedom, and content you can actually care about. That's the deal. All right. Thank you very much for letting me read that. I use Premium. I broadcast on Premium in about 20 minutes or so. Well, I'm going to do a Premium content for the ones that are going to be on that time. Y'all will like it. It's really cool. I've already done a short on one of them this morning. So give you a little heads up what's going on. But yeah, so get it. It's worth it. All right. So meanwhile, back at the ranch. I forgot what I was saying. Metaphors are crazy sometimes. You know what? So I'll just read a little bit more. During a 12-day trial, which began February 23rd, jurors heard testimony from more than 45 witnesses and reviewed over 210 exhibits tied to the charges against the 9 defendants. Benjamin Song was convicted of the most serious charge, attempted murder, for shooting Alvarado Police Lieutenant Thomas Gross, according to Fox 4. All but one of the 9 defendants, Daniel Estrada, were found guilty of providing material support to terrorists, rioting, conspiracy to use and carry explosives, and using explosives during a riot. Daniel Estrada, who was not present the night of the incident, was convicted of concealing records and conspiracy to conceal documents. Marcela Ruda was also convicted of conspiracy to conceal documents. Antifa is a domestic terrorist organization that has been allowed to flourish in Democrat-led cities not under President Trump. Attorney General Pamela, said in a statement, today's verdict on terrorism charges will not be the last as the Trump administration systematically dismantles Antifa and finally halts their violence on American streets. And authorities say July 4th, 2025 attack outside Prairieland Ice in Alvarado involved fireworks, damage to building, vehicles, and gunfire directed at the officers. Prosecutors argued the attack was orchestrated by Song and carried out by members of the North Texas Antifa cell. But their defense attorneys argued there was no ambush and that defendants did not intend for any violence to occur. If they didn't intend violence to occur, they shouldn't have done it in the first place. All right? They'll learn that while they're sitting in jail. All right. All right. So, should there be denaturalization of U.S. citizens? That is a going question of people in Congress, of people that are naturalized U.S. citizens that commit crimes against the country. So the United States is left vulnerable even by its own naturalized U.S. citizens from hostile foreign lands. Providing a free country can be exposed to security risks by the very freedoms the Constitution endows, an expert warned on Fox News. That's particularly because of legal reasons. They just can't monitor constitutionally protected free speech and opinions after they become naturalized citizens, unless you're in a Democrat administration and you flaunt the law and do what you want. Ask them about their secret wiretapping that they did on us. They just indefinitely, just to keep tabs on them. They legally can't do it, and they don't have the resources to do it. Just this month alone, the U.S. experienced 4 attacks with ties to naturalized citizenship. There was March 1st in Austin, March 7th in New York City, March 12th at Old Dominion University. March 12th in West Bloomfield, Michigan. 4 terrorist attacks, 5 people, right? There's a bit of Jihad Olympics going on, which if you were here, which is where you have the Sunni radicals like ISIS competing with the Shia radicals of the Iranian regime because they need attention in order to survive and in order to settle the argument of who has Allah's blessing so they can trigger the apocalypse. Paul Murrow said that's what they want to do, Morrow said. The process of citizenship revocation has been a hotly debated topic during the second Trump administration, and the spate of 4 terror attacks amid the latest Israel-U.S. war on Iran may increase scrutiny on the vetting process. A person is subject to revocation of naturalization if the person becomes a member of or affiliated with the Communist Party, other totalitarian party, or terrorist organization within 5 years of her naturalization. The U.S. grounds for revocation of naturalization reads. I didn't even know that phrase even existed in that law. Morrow's Institute is not constrained by federal law in vetting potential terrorist ideology of naturalized citizens like the Justice Department is, he noted. That's why I personally have set up a civilian intelligence team that does that, to do that kind of thing. And that's why we've been so successful is because whereas the government is very careful not to launch investigations based on a mere suspicion or an unpopular opinion, civilians are free to comb through social media and just find people and report them. See something, say something. You have to look at it like this. Like I was reading last week about the gentleman, well, I wouldn't even call him the terrorist, either the one um, in Virginia or the one in Michigan, one of the two. They both got me confused. Uh, Inside of 5 years, he became a U.S. citizen. How do you properly vet an immigrant to become a U.S. citizen inside of 5 years? Like a friend of mine told me, it took his wife 10 years to do hers. And she was married to a U.S. serviceman. She was from Germany. So they really need to relook this in Congress about extending the minimum time to being a resident alien in our country before you can become a U.S. citizen, and increase the vetting on non-U.S. citizens to ensure they meet the proper requirement, secure data through the social media, through their emails, their texting. Make sure they're not a risk coming into our country, like being a sleeper cell. Anybody have any comments on that? Because that's a really good subject right there. Do you support the ability to make it easier to revoke someone's nationalization after they become a U.S. citizen? If you agree with that, put a yes or a no in the comment section, in the live chat. All right. The next is Tom Tillis. All right. Tom Tillis. Tom Tillis is a Republican senator from the state of North Carolina. He's retiring at the end of this year. So he announced this weekend, I think it was Sunday. When did I print this? On the 13th. Saturday, he announced he's a hard no on the Save America Act. So you have Lisa Murkowski. She says she's a hard no. And then you have Tom Tillis. He says he's a hard no. We don't know how Mitch McConnell completely stands right now. And there was another one I couldn't. But someone, it might have been Graham Allen, calling them baby Democrats. Not rhinos, but baby Democrats. So the Senate Republicans are gearing up for a floor debate over Trump-backed voter ID, and another GOP senator plans to oppose it. Tom Tillis, North Carolina, won't support the Safeguard America Voter Eligibility America Act, Save America Act, that could throw a wrench in the GOP's plan to force Democrats into a tough vote after tough vote next week. I'm a no. That's what he said, quote unquote. Tom Tillis says, I'm a no. I'm going to do everything I can to prevent it from moving forward. He might as well just renounce his party affiliation of being a Republican and join Chucky Schumer and all the other lefty failures on the other side of the aisle and become a Democrat. There is no reason why he should. And Lisa Murkowski is the same way. Needs to go ahead and resign. Resign from office and let another Republican go ahead and take your place. It is stupid. The only problem is in North Carolina, you have a Democrat governor. So you'd get a Democrat senator, which is, Tillis is already a Democrat anyway. This is ridiculous. Ridiculous. Man, I don't even want to finish reading that. Good for nothing, a failure. So David Marcus, his opinion piece from the Fox News. In an age of broken institutions, the filibuster is one relic we can't afford. Filibuster, which is in essence a 60 vote threshold to pass legislation in the U.S. Senate, is well-intentioned instrument meant to protect the rights of states. Because in the beginning, senators were appointed by the state legislature, not the people. Right? Under the filibuster, the Senate can only act when a piece of legislation is overwhelmingly popular, and in the current case of the Save America Act, which has widespread public support, not even then. When the Senate abdicates, the power doesn't disappear. Rather, it is invested in non-government institutions that we are meant to trust are working in the interests of the country and the people. For example, without the Save America Act's limit on mail-in ballots, non-government entities like Mark Zuckerberg and Meta back in 2020 are free to influence elections by offering mail-in ballot assistance, but only in their politically approved areas. In an age when we have trusted institutions of education, homeless outreach, of monitoring of elections, this might be fine, even admirable, but not in an age such as not. But we do not live in such an age. In our age, far left progressives have further captured almost every institution the Senate willingly hands its power over to. In the 1720s, that's a long time, 50 years before our American Revolution, England almost had no government-run prisons. Instead, wardenships were purchased, and the warden would profit over prisoner fees. In 1729, an architect named Robert Castell was thrown in a debtor's prison because he could not pay the warden's fee, but was put in a room with a man who had smallpox, contracted the disease, and died. Outrage ensued, and even Sir Robert Walpole, arguably England's first prime minister who favored indirect management of direct government control of institutions, began to see the need for state-run prisons. Was the flawed non-governmental prison system in Georgian England really different from a type of federal government handling millions of dollars of fraudulent daycare centers in Minneapolis or no-show hospice care sites in Los Angeles? Even short of fraud, our leading institutions have had incredible negative impacts in areas where, like the trans movement, where basically every single one of them argue that children should be subjected to surgery and hormones to change their gender. It was not until executive orders, state legislatures, and the courts stood up to trans madness that the fever began to cool, and now hospitals are quietly removing those services. It was the government, by and of the people, who put in check the shadow government of far-left institutions that nobody ever voted for. Castell was not the first person to be abused, or to die in a very old English prison system. So why is this case suddenly caused so much fear and eventual change? Well, about 25 years ago, something had arrived on the scene in London called a newspaper. 25 years earlier. Suddenly, not just a literate Londoner, but the people who heard the news read out loud at the coffeehouse or tavern was an immediate window into corruption. Likewise, 25 years ago, we saw the rise of online news, and suddenly gatekeepers could no longer hide the evils of the institutions on which the boards often sat. Suddenly, stories of voter fraud detransitioning, and absurd DEI lessons in our schools could not be covered up. The rot at the core of our institutions were laid bare for all to see, just as the cruelty of England's prison were 300 years ago. Today, Senate Majority Leader John Thune, baby Democrat, faces a choice similar to Walpole in the 18th century. He would much prefer to keep the federal government out of the lives of Americans, but the institutions that do operate their lives are broken and corrupt. While in the House of Representatives, not the Senate, that is meant to be a vehicle of popular will in our system. That Senate is not to be perpetual roadblock to the will of the people's house, even in the face of massive popular support. Sadly, that is what the filibuster has become today, an excuse for our legislatures to do nothing as non-government institutions continually firm their grip on American society. Now, there might have been one time when the filibuster made sense, but now is not that time. Now is the time for the people's government to take back power from our broken, far left institutions. And that was from David Marcus. Makes complete sense. So, back until the 17th Amendment, the direct election of U.S. senators they should have did away with the filibuster back then, because that is when you had direct election of the Senate. Whether we like it or not, you only have 100 senators, you have 435 congressmen, right? They are both elected by the people. The same measures should apply to both of them. Majority wins, right? I used to be one of those that we need the filibuster. We need the filibuster. But you know what? You just need to make a compelling argument, and you need to make sure you get out and vote. That's case closed. That is the way it is. It's already 12:57. Oh my goodness. I'm not even going to make it through everything I want to make it through. So this one that I was going to read, it's about tomorrow starts the debate in the Senate about the Save America Act. John Thune, which I really thoroughly believe he should not be the majority leader of the Senate. He needs to go. If he cannot get the Save America bill across the finish line, if he doesn't have the guts to say we're done with the filibuster, we need to go and actually remove him as Senate Majority Leader. All right, that's it. That's how I look at it. That's how I look at it. If you agree with me, say something. Put an American flag in. Yeah, let's go that way. If you believe in that John Thune should be removed as the Senate Majority Leader and replaced by someone else, Tim Scott or Rick Scott or Ron Johnson, or we'll go with Ted Cruz. I mean, there are plenty of Republicans out there. Mike Lee would make a great Senate Majority Leader. Man. So let's see, we're getting close. It's already 12:59. I'm going to do another ad read for us before we go to premium. All right. Y'all like this. Looking for a comfortable but unique option for your gaming setup? Check out TetanusSportUSA.com. With a wide range of ergonomic chairs and an array of colors, you will definitely bring your setup to the next level. Always comfy, never boring. Tetanus Sport, and then use the code RUMBLE for your 10% off of your entire order. All righty. And the next time I buy me a chair, I'm going to Tetanus Sport. I'm going to check them out. I'm going to be a good gaming chair to relax in. Rich probably Rob said Mike Lee would make a great uh, majority leader. I fully agree. Rob. Okay, so let me put it like this: Mike Lee would make a great majority leader if he grows his hair back. All right. He looks so different being bald than when he did when he had hair. I just wish he had hair. All right. If he has to get a toupee, I don't care. Mike Lee, please, Senator Lee, if you're listening, grow your hair back, please. Okay. All right. So I'm sorry, but all right. So we got all the way down to here. So we still have that one. All right. So this is the time of day that I am going to convert over to Rumble Premium. So if you heard my promo earlier, the ad read, you go to rumble.com/premium. Code word is studio, and you can get $10 off getting premium. Okay. So I will see y'all, the rest of y'all, in the morning at 6:30 with the morning brief and then JP8 report. So I'm going to do the conversion over to premium. So let me stop my record. My record is off, and I'm going.